Elephant Man Podcast Network, Grown Man Conversations dealing with elephants in the room. It's your man DB. What's going on? Good to see everybody out there. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell if you want to keep up with the new content and new stuff that's coming out. Today, I have my brother on the line, on the Zoom, right? He is a director of dad. He's the founder of Wisdom Holders Ministries. He's an all-pro dad coach. Married for 28 years. God bless your ministry, brother. The father of 2 adult boys, my brother in Christ, Minister Brian Carter. What is going on, brother?
Hey, I'm glad you had me on, DB, man. We go back, man. We both the first H in hip hop, man. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's good to be on.
Yeah, man, it's good. It's good to talk to you, man. But you know what? It really was be honest. It was a cry out. I was like, man, I have not adult. I have a teenage boys. One is 16, one is 13, and one is 14. And boy, we don't have the manual from heaven on how to deal with teenage young men.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, man, I want to connect, but to be honest, being transparent, I was disconnect. I didn't understand why. You know what I mean? Like I said, some things you want them to grow into adulthood, and some things are non-negotiable. So I didn't I was just really at a loss on how to do it.
Yeah.
So and the Holy Ghost put it in my spirit. You know, Brian, Pastor Brian, Minister Brian, he does deal with teens, and I read it and said you have 2 adult sons. I mean,
yeah.
That teenage period with those guys, man, and it's just crazy. So tell me about your sons. How old are they?
I got 2 boys. My oldest he just turned 30, and so he's out on his own, just trying to maneuver through life. He's a music guy, so I mean he loves music, and so he's pursuing a career in music. He's doing some big things. He's doing music for commercials and different things like that. So I'm proud of him, with what his efforts are and everything like that. So kind of see him when I see him,
Right.
and then my 28-year-old, he lives down the hall. So he's in the house. So our arrangement was he got his undergrad at Anderson University in education. And so it was like, okay, while you are pursuing your master's, you could just come on back home, and as long as we get along and cool, I can't give you no money, but you got the room down the hall, just be cool. We got to learn how to get along as men, and so he just graduated with his master's in fine arts. He's like doing poetry and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And they just displayed his artwork, his poetry, which somebody did artwork to down at Mass Ave, and it's kind of related to this whole Black Lives Matter and whatnot going on. So that's the size of it. So no grandkids, but 2 adult men. I'll always call them boys, but I try to, of course, recognize them as men.
Wow. Yes. So I want to know how. I mean, it's evidently a success because you didn't smack him upside the head and take him out.
I ain't killed him yet.
Right.
I ain't killed him yet.
So I mean, give me some of the trials or some of the being transparent. What are some things that you had to learn when they was teenage boys? Because we don't get no manual, like I just said earlier in the show. We don't get no manual how to raise teenage boys, and they going from boys to men, literally.
To men,
and
absolutely.
So we don't want to stunt their growth, but then we don't want to just take the lid off to the point where anything goes and says. But interesting story or something that
man, my oldest, I call him my teacher, because if I wrote the book, most of the book is going to be dedicated to my dealings with him. And my God, you talking about challenging everything, once he got really just kind of got a little, I figured probably about 13, 14 years old is when he kind of really got to smelling himself and just wanting to be his own, into his own, being influenced by his own influences. I mean, we're always in church and everything like that. But, just challenging your authority and everything, and just sneaky things, and doing sneaky things and stuff. And so we've had a lot of bouts and stuff. I think one of the funniest ones that kind of happened is that I think he was about 17 years old, so he was going into a senior year, and I was going to a convention up north. And so I shook his hand, looked him straight in his eye and said, "Hey, you're going to be the man of the house. I got to go, make sure, you don't beat up your little brother. Just, listen to your mama, all that kind of stuff." So he agreed. Yes, sir. Everything like that. So I get up to where I'm going up in, Michigan area, and I get this call. And this is what I'm hearing on the line. So I'm hearing, whenever your son call you crying, you immediately like, okay, what did you do? And so and he's up there telling, I took your car, and now the police, I wrecked it, and the police are here at school, got me in handcuffs. And I want to go through the line and just kill him, man. I mean, I had a like a 99 Suburban with the rims on it, fat boy tires, the whole everything. So he couldn't wait for me to leave that next day. He tries to take the car, and he goes out of the complex and T-bones somebody, and then runs, leaving my car running now. He runs away. So he flees the scene. And the town I live in, there's not a whole lot of us. So you can pretty much figure where he lived and he wasn't a criminal. So he runs to school. And so they catch him at school, and he's calling me in handcuffs, talking about they're taking me to jail. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to just kill you, And so anyway, it was a lot of lesson behind that, and we did a lot of talking. And people talked to me and said, "Yeah, I remember when I stole my dad's car, and I stole my grandmama's car. I did every Friday night. I did." And I'm looking like, I ain't never stole my dad's car. I would never do something like that, But they helped normalize with me that, believe it or not, this is possibly in the teenage stupid book. This is what a teenager just might do. And I was like, God, so by the time I got back from my little convention, I didn't kill him. I didn't kill him. It was just like, okay, we're going to work this out. Now, of course, he had consequences, but the consequences, DB, were natural consequences because he broke the law.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening is that he didn't have a learner's permit. He didn't have a driver's license. We had to go to court. So we would go to court. I'll be right there with him and everything like that, because I don't want him to be in the system by himself. I got to help guide him through this thing. But I'm looking at the judge like, you see what I'm saying? And the judge looking at me like, I understand. You know what I'm saying? So he had to the judge said, "Do you have your learner's permit?" And then he said, "No." So he continued. So it took my son about 3 times to get his learner's permit. Then we go to court, and he's like, "Well, do you have your license?" "No." So took him 2 times to get his license. This whole span of time, the oops upside his head was he had to, without, for a whole year, and this is your senior year. Think about your senior year. You want to drive, you want to go to
Right.
the prom, you want to drive, go to the prom and everything. See, he missed out on all of that because jumping the boogie, stealing the car, wrecking the car. And then what did my insurance say? Oh, he can't touch your car and
Wow.
drive your vehicle until he's 25 years old. So do you
Wow.
see the natural consequences
Yeah,
that
yeah,
he
yeah.
faced based on the impulsive crazy thing that he did?
Wow.
So I didn't have to whoop him, I didn't have to knock him out.
Mm.
He got knocked out naturally. And it
Dang.
was like, that was a lesson to remember. They put him on probation and
Mm.
made him pay fees. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
suspended his license until his fees were paid up. He was in some rough shape. And so I was there as a dad to navigate him through this, like saying, I'm not even gonna have to say, see what you did, see what you did.
Wow.
Life is telling you, see what you did, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was that.
That's
And then
amazing. How sometimes
that, yeah.
the life lessons, you know what I mean? And we being young adults and young men, we learn different things. And so we don't want our children, our kids, our seed to go through what we've been through. So we think, I mean, and sometimes experience is the best teacher, but sometimes you can get some wisdom from, hey, I don't have to go down this road because dad told me this and dad showed me that. And then, like you said, we always have a kid that said, man, I got to experience this for myself. So in
Mm.
that, you got to take your hand out the wheel and say, God, teach them, but spare, like, spare them. You know what I mean?
What's that song by the Gap Band? Oops, upside your head. Say oops,
Oops, right
upside your
upside your
head.
head. My goodness, man. Hey, before we got on here, you were talking about deputizing the kids and ownership,
Yes.
because teenage years it seems like they're very, very selfish, and it's like, well, all human beings are selfish, but it's just to me a period between 13 and 20. That's like, man, it's about me, and so. It might be some different things that we're trying to show them, some standards that we're trying to show them. But you was telling me more about that deputizing the kids and having them buying into it and the ownership. Could you share a little bit about that so they can understand
Absolutely.
why they're doing what they're doing or something like that?
At a young age, if you study childhood development or whatever, a toddler, they haven't quite bought into rules. So what they have to do is just, you got to literally pick them up and point them in the direction. It's called redirection.
Hmm.
But after that, this is why people do timeouts, when kids are 3, 4, 5 years old or whatever, because there's some kind of reasoning as to, you got to get into them, the reasoning as to, okay, there's consequences for what you do, and then why did you do such and such,
Hmm.
and why are you in the corner, because so and that's the dealing with more of a disciplinary. But what you want to do in a growth type of thing is, okay, we need to build value system in our children, and family values is very important. So it's
Hmm.
kind of like, the object of we, us, we, instead of you doing it for daddy, you doing it for mommy, or you
Oh.
doing it because I said so.
Hmm.
That doesn't register for a long period of time, because otherwise it's authoritarian, meaning you're going to be beating the kids all the time, and them responding to your aggression. What you really want is them to get on the team. So
Oh.
deputizing is like, okay, let's get on the team. Okay, so with the if you're grooming your young adult, your young person into adulthood, you want to more and more let them see that this is good for the family. This,
Okay.
and back in the day, it used to be like that,
Hmm.
because we were all together and everything. But now, because of how everything is, with music, social media, all that kind of
Social
stuff,
media,
kids can
yeah.
zone out and be like, it's about me.
Yeah.
And teenage years is naturally, adolescence is what can I do on my own and everything. But if you want to get kind of good reign on it, it's just like, okay, let's do this together and let's see how this helps the betterment. Why is it important for the house to be clean? And then you see, look, the house is clean. This makes you better
Yeah.
because okay, when people come over, they see a clean house. I had to teach my boys, okay, don't bring anybody over without warning because we need to tidy up,
Right, right,
you
right,
know,
right.
or there's certain rooms in the house. Let's always have it tidy. Let's agree that the front room with the good furniture,
Yeah, yeah.
the dining room
Hmm.
straight, and let's try to keep the living room and the kitchen looking good. So if anybody just drops in, we got it. We got it pretty good. And I try to teach my boys, especially when it's dating, you bring some girl on in here and the dishes ain't done and things ain't swept up. They not looking and thinking about you. This is an impression of them, of your mother. They're looking
Wow.
like they mama trifling. And mama
Yeah,
ain't
yeah.
had nothing to do with all them dishes that was in the
Right,
sink.
right. That's your
She
dish, baby.
told you, yeah, she told you a long time ago, put the dishes up. So
Right, right.
you making the family look bad. So it's like, so life is full of like with kids is just kind of, you ever see those shields or crests that they have in England and everything, and Scotland, and it's a whole family, kind of this shield, this crest
Coat of
represents the
arms.
coat of arms.
Yeah.
So we have to create a coat of arms with our children
Wow.
that they have input on.
Hmm.
So this part of the coat of arms is yours. So then it's like, hey, I don't have to be grown and then reflect on family values and different things. I was part of it the whole time.
Wow. Perfect.